When it comes down to cartoons, Cartoon Network has always felt like a second home to me. And after dark, it's like I don't even have to lock my doors and turn off the lights. Adult Swim. Cartoon Network After Dark. The home of Rick and Morty and, You guys don't like Rick and Morty, huh? I don't want to play with you anymore. Well, you're in luck because it's time!
Are you sure about that?
Time is a tool you can put on the wall.
No, not time for you. Time for...
Keep going!
Smiling Friends, while may not be as instantly recognizable as Rick and Morty, has become Adult Swim's #1 show. Yes, even passing Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
Daddy?
Next door, jackass.
But the thing about Smiling Friends is it ended after season 3 compared to Aqua Teen Hunger Force's 12. You can see how easily it is for a show to climb to the top, especially when their whole show has better ratings and a more engaging story in just 3 short seasons. One of the main reasons Smiling Friends was so successful was because of their unique episodes that always left you smiling. While shows like Rick and Morty run for an average time of,
Time? It's 8:45.
No, we aren't doing this shit! Didn't you read the comments? An average time of, 22 minutes. Smiling Friends episodes are shortened down to just around 11 to 12 minutes. This gives just enough time to sell a short story while not dragging out for too long, as well as leaving just enough time to throw in little bits and gags for shits and giggles.
What's that? I thought the peanuts looked delicious.
Guys, I pressed the wrong button.
You mother...
Rick and Morty, on the other hand, seems like it has too much time on their hands, giving the audience too much noise to cipher through to find a real plot. Trust me, if you truly don't understand, then I advise you go watch the Rick and Morty. Just go watch my Rick and Morty. But back on topic, Smiling Friends became Adult Swim's #1 show, passing Rick and Morty, and pissing their way to victory. They managed to do this by winning.
We are Charlie Kirk!
They managed to do this by appealing to a much wider audience than any other show on the network. Let me explain. You see, Rick and Morty takes a little bit of an IQ to understand, a much higher level than you would need to understand Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
Go in! Get in that net, you crazy whore!
All Smiling Friends had to do was find that medium and simply do their thing. You see, while Smiling Friends only lasts for 4 years and 3 seasons, they managed to pass Rick and Morty and become Adult Swim's #1 show by simply not dragging the show on. While Rick and Morty was in the middle of their 6th season, Smiling Friends had just opened their doors. In 2022, a new show rose up on the block. In this show, having a lot more questions that couldn't be answered. But here's the thing. Unanswerable questions always left the viewer asking questions. Questioning the show and what direction it will take. And even theorizing. Hello, Internet! What? You're firing me? Why? Just grab my things and go. What do you mean? I built this company from the ground up. You'll replace me. Who will you get to replace this?
Hello, Internet! Welcome to Ignishes? Guys, who's working on the script? Hey, Brad, you working on the script? Man, we need to talk to someone about this. Hello, Internet! Welcome to the Ignishes!
Smiling Friends as a whole world was full of so much exaggerated life. The difference between human and critter and alien and
Yeah, I don't know. It's just becoming too much damn work.
Smiling Friends wasn't trying to create a multiverse of life. They just threw everything at the wall and created Small Move! The world that the Smiling Friends live in isn't just a normal world. It's full of critters.
Alright guys, I'm done with my paperwork. Did you all get time to meet?
The critters being slightly different from... Okay, they're completely different from humans. Some of the most iconic critters being Pim, Alan, Charlie, Glap, Mr. Frog, King Schmaloogle, and of course,
I'd do it if Diddy did it. How about a donut machine? Did Diddy do it? Diddy did.
the critters fill up this world, adding a whole new layer of drama. Smiling Friends didn't need a story to be interesting, it just had to be original and funny. While each episode obviously contains a story, there is no main story to the show, unless you count the story between Alan and his landlord as the story. But when you compare this to other shows like Rick and Morty, their story dragged on for far too long, with too much confusing lore that divided the community.
So, in Rick and Morty, there's this thing called the Omega device. It's a weapon made by Rick Prime that can erase every version of someone across every universe. Simple, right?
The Omega device is Rick Prime's most powerful invention. Rick Prime,
As well as having numerous amount of filler episodes to compensate for the delayed story across multiple different seasons. The point I'm trying to make here is that I'm sick of Rick and Morty!
Don't give a fuck!
The difference is Rick and Morty lost its relevance, whereas Smiling Friends has gained all of their relevancy through competitively and consistently doing what people wanted. The show provided what I would portray as a blank canvas for you to fill in your own story. You can put yourself in Charlie's shoes. You can feel how Pim does about helping people.
I love kids!
You can understand what Alan is going through with his landlord.
I'm gonna you.
Who can you really relate to in Rick and Morty? Rick? Morty? Jerry?
Send me to Gary. I want to be with Gary.
Rick and Morty just presented us with their 8th season in 2025, giving us, what the fuck is that, a fidget spinner?
Mario. What do you want, Morty? There's like this new thing called the fidget spinner, and I want it. You want it?
I don't give a shit.
Morty using a fidget spinner, or Charlie using whatever the fuck this thing was. Rick and Morty giving us this to work with 10 years after fidget spinners were even relevant proves that they have lost connection with the audience. And when you take a look at Smiling Friends, they've captured almost every event in recent media, as well as creating their own culture based on this. People have become obsessed with Smiling Friends. Like with every big thing, Smiling Friends became a successful IP that sold millions of merch products. Smiling Friends took the world by surprise. Such a big turn that even its own creators didn't know what to do with the series. In 2025, Smiling Friends left us with Season 3 and only 8 episodes to come from this season, with the last episode to air in October of that year. With this, people obviously anticipated more Smiling Friends. But that didn't happen. Nearly 6 months later, Smiling Friends reveals that the show would be ending with the final 2 episodes airing within the month. Smiling Friends aired their final 2 episodes back to back with some of the most memorable moments and fan depictions and even callbacks to previous episodes. Smiling Friends ends on a positive, happy note, while Rick and Morty goes on for 100 years.
And I'll go out and I'll find some more of that Mulan Szechuan teriyaki dipping sauce, Morty.
Destroying each season with a new, sloppy, poorly written season with horrible voice acting.
How bad can it possibly be?
Sorry, I just had to get that out there. Can we cut back to the video now? Smiling Friends ends to prove exactly this. They wanted to end the show before it became stale and repetitive and became another Rick and Morty. Their words, not mine. But this proves that I was right, and you can all suck it!
Shoot myself.
The show ends in its prime. More relevant than ever, even surpassing, long-lasting, 100 years Rick and Morty. They beat Rick and Morty, and they don't even care! They didn't do this to prove anything! They didn't do this because they were lazy. They did this just simply because they knew what they had and they didn't want to risk ruining what they got. Thus, pushing Smiling Friends into a legendary status, giving them ultimate immunity like Rick and Morty had before. Why would Smiling Friends end? There was still so much they could have done! Oh, what don't you understand? If Smiling Friends have dragged on for just one more season, then they would have passed that threshold of authentic cartoons that only age properly in their first 3 seasons. Allow me to explain. Chowder, Clarence, and even SpongeBob all either only had 3 seasons or their prime was in their first 3 seasons. Same thing happens when you apply this to Rick and Morty. Shows can only be in good taste for so long before they start to leave a sour taste in your mouth. Smiling Friends didn't overstay any welcome, never made me feel uncomfortable. Okay, never mind. And always left me with a smile. They did exactly what their job was, to make people smile. And when shows drag on for too long, you are no longer happy about it, and more or less dreadful about it instead. If Smiling Friends were to continue, it would be too hard to get into because there's too much to catch up on and too many hours of time to comprehend all the details and lore packed in each episode. But this is where Smiling Friends was a master in disguise. They weren't just able to fill all of the storyline and basic details in 22 minutes, but in 11 minutes plus fun gags. Just going to show that a short show can still be funny and tell a good story at the same time.
But eventually everyone runs out of time.
That's a great point. Thank you, Mr. Clock. And the clock shows us that things do rot over time, just like people do. And the people who are writing Rick and Morty literally rotted over time!
I'm not over time, and I'm not anymore.
Smiling Friends kept it short and funny like SpongeBob and Regular Show, with moderately mild humor and a slight edge. Smiling Friends was bound to become successful. But even if the show is over, at least we're still getting Regular Show The Lost Tapes, another amazing performance by Cartoon Network. Oh, the network's out of business? Smiling Friends also gave us this decade's Yellow Guys, so thank you, Smiling Friends. They did everything that hadn't been done and added a whole bunch of new tricks. Shows like The Amazing World of Gumball had a lot of CG animation as well as regular old 2D animation, which really made it stand out. What Smiling Friends does here is no different, but what they do with the storyline in each episode is truly incredible. They create this character whose whole personality is that he was a main character in a video game on like the PS2 or whatever. I don't know. I find this whole thing really interesting though. Something new that Smiling Friends does bring to the table is the rotoscopes. Something you may have never heard of, rotoscopes are an animation and visual effects technique where artists trace over live action footage frame by frame to create a realistic, fluid motion in an animated sequence or to create mattes for publicity. In Brother Egg, and even in the first episode, we meet these characters who bring such a new vibe to modern television. This is Rotoscope Guy, and his whole thing is just being a rotoscope? Yeah, I don't know, but it makes for great television. While Smiling Friends didn't really have a story, it wouldn't do the show any justice to not mention the funny plot holes that get filled up by the end of the show. One of the main gags is that Charlie is constantly making mention to or referencing his uncle who has something to do with just about everything. And by the end of the series, we finally get to meet him and help him smile, and Charlie's uncle dies and doesn't come back. Yeah, do with that what you will. You can guess what happens.
He's the Cincinnati sex pest. We've been trying to catch him for 20 years.
Another convenient example of this would be Alan's landlord, who, I don't know, just wanted to get high and play Call of Duty.
To be afraid of?
Mario, no! Rick and Morty had its time, and now it's taking up our time. Whereas Smiling Friends wasn't invited, they always were welcome. Smiling Friends made us smile. No, Smiling Friends made me smile. Because it was short, funny, and got to the point. It didn't drag out for too long, it didn't piss me off with a horrible evil agenda. Instead, they gave the audience just what they wanted. Just what I wanted. Everything I could ever want. Hey everyone, if you like this video, make sure you hit that like button. If you want to see more videos like this, you might as well consider subscribing. It's free, it helps a lot. And if you have any ideas for a future video, make sure you leave a comment. A nice comment that will make me smile.